name is Sarah. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Mrs. B the Knitter, and I'd like to say welcome and thank you for joining me today. Coming to you from the south coast of Hampshire in the UK, where it is currently rather dismal and gloomy out today. It was really foggy this morning. The Solent foghorn was going nice and loudly while I was walking my little dog Hattie. And I just want to say thank you so much for popping in to see me. If you're returning to the podcast, you'll know I've been away for a little while. I am now kind of back to recording and podcasting, and if you're new, I really hope that you enjoy kind of what you find here. So going back to that, I was away. I didn't podcast for the last 3 months of last year. There are some very good reasons for that, most of which I won't go into, but I kind of feel really confident coming back this year now and doing things a little bit differently, fitting in a bit more with me, who I am, how I create, and kind of maybe going a bit more kind of fitting in with the slow progress that I make. I'm not a prolific knitter. I'm not a fast knitter. I physically cannot knit particularly quickly. But I really enjoy creating. I love knitting, I love crocheting, I love spinning, and I really enjoy sharing all of that with you here on YouTube. So a little bit of a different spin this time around. So rather than calling it Mrs. B's podcast, this is going to be Mrs. B's Knit and Natter, because that's all it's going to be. It's some knitting, some crafting and some nattering, and probably a fair chunk of tea kind of going on as well. So welcome, like I said, and let's crack on with some creating. So since the last time I saw you, I have some updating to do. I do apologise for the lighting. It is really awful outside, so I've turned on the light in here. This is my dining room. These are my crafts books on the bookshelf behind me, and my piano as well, and it's the best place when the light is like this to podcast from, and to be honest, it's been like this all weekend, so I don't see it changing anytime soon. But it does mean that the light's going a wee bit funny on the camera as I'm recording, so I do apologise for that. Hopefully it won't be too bad. So since the last time I've seen you, I need to do a wee bit of an update on one of the finished objects that I showed you last time, and that's my Acorn mittens. Now I knit these out of yarn from Hilly Yarns, and I got myself a wee bit mixed up. In the box there was Gladstone yarn, which is yarn from a sheep called Gladstone, who is a Gotland, and his yarn had been mixed with alpaca and it was kind of deep rich brown. And there's also Shetland yarn from the 3 Shetland sheep at Sanctuary 2, and I got the two of them mixed up. At the time I wasn't experienced enough with handling different types of sheep's wool to really understand the difference. I knew that the alpaca should make things very soft, but to be honest, both yarns are really soft. So I knit these gloves up and I was all like, woo, Gladstone mittens, yay! And actually they're knit out of Shetland medley. So I'm really sorry I got it completely wrong. I spoke to Di, who runs Hooligan Yarns, and was just like, help me, I think I've got this really wrong. She was like, I thought they looked a bit un-Gladstone like, but you know, I just went with it. And I was like, yeah, no, that was me, I messed up. So these are my Acorn mittens that I knit up and designed them myself, just kind of a simple fingerless mitten pattern, and they are knit out of Shetland medley, and they're really lovely, really warm and comfortable. They get softer every time they're worn, they get softer every time they get washed, and they have kept me so warm and cosy through the winter months, and I'm sure they will in the spring months to come, because as we know, the frost is likely to come back again. I have also, since the last time I saw you, finished a self-designed hat. Now this is a hat knit out of a yarn that is inspired by Hattie May, my little dog, and dyed by Shadow, who runs Felt Fusion on Etsy. The pattern is one I came up with by myself. My mum requested a hat, so that's where that pattern started, was with a request from my mum, and she has the first ever prototype of it. And then this is kind of the progress of that pattern. It's knit out of double knit blue faced Leicester, and it is really super comfy and warm, and I'm just in the process now of writing up pattern. And I've just heard little Miss Hattie come in. Hello, boo-boos. Ready? Ready? Gonna come say hi? Say hi. Oh my goodness. Says, what are you doing picking me up? I was so comfy on the floor. This is the little inspiration behind not only the colourway but also the hat. It's inspired by our little rainy walks together, isn't it? I'll pop her back down. And yeah, so it's inspired by our rainy walks that we take together. We like our rainy walks. Neither of us mind getting wet. It's quite a slouchy hat, and that is completely deliberate. That's because I have long hair and I like to tie it up, and when I wear a hat over my hair when it's tied up, I like my hat to still fit and come down onto my neck and not just kind of be really stretched tight over my ponytail or bun. So it's a slouchy hat. It's got quite a deep brim. I like my ears to be covered by my brim, otherwise they get chilly. And I'm really, really pleased with it. So I'm hoping that the pattern will be, I'm hoping that the pattern will be finished and typed up soon. It's completely at my discretion when that's done, isn't it? So I really should get my bum in gear and write that up. I really enjoy the crown decreases. They look really pretty. I'm really pleased with how they came out. And I think the next time I knit this up, I'm going to knit it in a solid yarn, because both the prototype for my mum and also this one, obviously for me, are in variegated colourways, and I'd like to see how the pattern works in a solid. I think it's going to make the actual kind of lace patterning on the body of the hat pop just a little bit more. So that should be coming soon. On to things that I've been working on. I've got quite a few things that I'm working on. If you've seen the podcast before, you will understand that this is how I operate. I have lots of things on the go that take really a long time to finish, but there is a reason for this. I don't always get a lot of time to knit, and I don't always have a lot of brain power left to concentrate on complicated patterns. So I have a mix of projects. I have some really, really simple projects that I can literally just pick up and knit without thinking while I have the TV on, or for like 5 minutes, and it doesn't matter if I get interrupted because rows are short or rows are very easy to follow, so I can stop in the middle of a row and know exactly where I am. And then I have the more complicated projects where I can sit down for a few hours and really get into them and properly concentrate. And that's just because of the way life is. I have a full-time job, I work long days, I don't get home till late, and sometimes my job is exceptionally taxing on the brain and on the emotions. So I don't want to, you know, sit down and do a 300 stitch shawl row. I might just want to do 64 stitches kind of around a sock. So I have lots of different projects on the go, and rather than show them all to you every single time, we're kind of going, oh look, there's been 2 centimeters progress on that, I figured I would just show you the ones that matter to what I'm nattering about this time around. So today I'm nattering about tradition and heritage and kind of history, getting into the whys and the wherefores of what we knit and how we knit. And the reason for this is not only because I'm really, really interested in history, but because of one of the Christmas presents that I got last year, which sounds really odd to say that. It's the end of January 2017, and talking about last year's Christmas, I feel like I should have been saying this year's Christmas, but no, last year's Christmas, Christmas 2016. This was one of my presents. It's the Book of Haps by Kate Davies, and the joy of this book is not only the wonderful, wonderful patterns for haps, for people's imaginings of, or reimaginings of the hap in it, but also the essays, the historical essays that she's written and other authors have contributed that explain the heritage of the hap, how it came into existence, why it's still in existence, how important it was to the economics and the kind of social history of Shetland. And it's absolutely fascinating. The patterns are phenomenal, but I find the history is just wonderful, and the fact that it's all available in one book is just brilliant. And it's kind of started a wee bit of a fire, which will probably run throughout the rest of the year. But it creates this sense of connection as well to what you're knitting, and I think last year I was missing that a little bit, not only in the things that I was knitting, but I think also in my podcast as well. I really started up this podcast because I wanted to connect with people and to connect with the wider crafting community, and I think I kind of lost my way a little bit trying to fit the podcast into what I thought it should be and not just letting it be what it needed to be or can be to kind of suit me. So this year's all about connection, and a big part of connection I think is kind of understanding where things come from, how things came to be, and why they are important. So this book got me thinking. I've read pretty much all the essays now, I think, apart from one. I will probably knit up several of the patterns, but actually I've got some ideas for maybe some self-designed hats, kind of tinkering away in the back of my brain. But it got me thinking about the traditional knits from other parts of the UK. And I come from Cornwall. Cornwall has a very strong farming and fishing community. I went to secondary school in a town called Looe, which is a fishing town, and on the south coast of Cornwall, and it's just down the road from Polperro, which is also a fishing community on the south coast of Cornwall. And I got to kind of thinking about that, because thinking of the traditional fishermen's jerseys that were being worn, and jerseys and Guernseys obviously originated from Jersey and Guernsey in the Channel Islands, and that kind of style, and also it's Guernsey is the name of a kind of a weight of yarn as well, specifically for making those jumpers for fishermen. But it really kind of got me thinking about, after kind of reading this book, I started to wonder about those jerseys and kind of Guernseys that the fishermen would wear, and started looking into the Cornish knitting heritage. And would you know it, someone's done lots of research and also written a book, which I got myself a copy of. And now knit-frocks does not mean dresses. Knit-frocks is actually the name that's given to the fishermen's jumpers in Polperro. It's specific to Polperro, it's like slang in Polperro. And this book is just wonderful. Again, it goes through the history of how these jumpers came about, what they mean, why they're so special, how they built into the social and economic history of the region. And then at the back it's got a wonderful stitch dictionary of the various stitches that were used, where they originated from, so which town they relate to, and it's also got a lovely kind of recipe for knitting your own Guernsey or knit frock. And one of the things I really like about this is two of the patterns, stitch patterns, come from Looe. So this is one of them. This is the Eddystone, and the Eddystone is a lighthouse that is just off the coast of Plymouth, which is in Devon, which kind of Plymouth is the next stop before Cornwall, or the last stop before Cornwall. There's a bridge over the Tamar River which runs between Devon and Cornwall, which, if you're a fan of Blacker yarns, that river is the inspiration for their Tamar yarn, and it's the river on the banks of which I grew up. And the Eddystone is a big lighthouse just off of Plymouth, which you can see from Looe, because Looe is only just down the south coast of Cornwall. And I can see quite how this stitch pattern came about and why it is so relevant to Looe, and I'm loving it. I feel that there may be some Guernsey knit frock related patterns or garments coming later in the year, but they're still floating around my brain at the minute. So I need to kind of pull them out, whack them down on some paper, and then decide whether or not I actually want to commit to them. But I'm certainly really enjoying learning about the impact of knitting in these two kind of areas of the UK, literally way up at the north and way down at the south, and the two kind of ends of the UK, and how, you know, knitting played such a huge part in those regions in the history, and it's quite recent history as well, not like way back, not, you know, 1600s, but kind of really quite recent history. So on that line, some of the projects that I'm knitting at the moment that tie into this theme, I am knitting the Half Hansel Hap by Gudrun Johnston, who is a Shetlander, and I'm knitting the half hap rather than the full hap, so it's a triangle rather than a square. I'm knitting it out of Hooligan Yarn's 2-ply, one in grey, one in white, and I absolutely love it. Now this is one of my, I have to sit down and think about it and pay attention, because have you tried kind of tinking back when it's lace weight? Done it a few times now on this project, and I'm in no hurry to do it again, so I kind of have to pay attention and concentrate when I'm knitting on this. So this is a weekend project, and as you can, it should be, when it's finished, it will be that way up. So you knit the garter triangle first, and then pick up these stitches. I'm going to turn it upside down again. Pick up the stitches to knit the border, and you can see the old shale lace pattern just starting to come through on the border there. And I really love this, and the yarn is just spectacular. It's like knitting with fairy clouds. It's just so soft and smushy and sheepy. It smells sheepy. I absolutely just adore it. It's wonderful, and I cannot wait for this project to be finished. But I'm just having so much fun knitting it that I kind of don't want it to be finished, because then I'm done knitting it. But then I just have to start a new one, so it'll be fine. But the kind of the pattern and the yarn are just coming together perfectly. So this is one of those projects where just everything is just clicking really nicely, and I absolutely just adore that yarn. I could sniff this all day. When they talk about yarn fumes, I think they mean sheep fumes. And I could sniff sheep all day as well, because despite what people think, they actually smell very pleasant. So I'm just going to take a wee drink. I've got some spiced ginger tea going on today to kind of burn away all that cold and dampness that's going on outside. It still hasn't seemed to have gotten past twilight outside. It's one of those miserable grey days. So I'm knitting the hap, and then I'm also knitting another project out of Hooligan Yarn's yarn, this time a sheep called Hattie, and rather than lace weight I'm using double knit weight, and I am knitting myself a pair of boot socks for wearing out on those cold, wet dog walks that I go on with Hattie. And I found that over this kind of winter period I've been wearing hand knit shawl, so as you can see around my neck, my hand knit hat, my hand knit mittens, some hand knit socks, and I absolutely love going out in stuff that I've made myself, and it's so cozy and warm as well. So I'm trying really hard to get faster at knitting, because I want to have more hand knit stuff that I can wear out and about. Like, I would love to make myself a jumper, but considering I still haven't finished the cardigan that I'm making for my mum yet, I can't really start a jumper. I really need to finish that cardigan before I start any kind of big garment again. But I am knitting myself some boot socks, some small garments. These are one of my I can sit down and really not pay too much attention and nothing really goes horribly wrong projects. And because it's double knit, they're knitting up relatively quickly as well. And the reason that these socks tie into that kind of theme of traditional knitting and kind of heritage and really kind of old school is because they're this beautiful cream colour, and I'm using a traditional herringbone stitch for the pattern. I've also used a traditional heel rather than a short row heel, so I've used a heel flap and gusset. I've used eye of partridge heel, which I think fits really nicely with the herringbone stitch. Oh, the light's going funny again. There we go, that's better. With a gusset, which again really nicely fits nicely. Now these for me are designed to be worn over kind of an under pair of socks, because I really like to be cosy in my big thick welly boots, and so they're a wee bit bigger than I would usually knit for kind of double knit socks. Just starting to get to the point where I start to think about toe decreases on this one, but I really love how these are knitting up and just how kind of old school they look, like traditional knit socks. I really like them, and yet the pattern is simple enough that, like I said, I can just sit down in front of the TV of an evening after work and knit a few rows, and nothing goes particularly wrong with that. So it's quite a sturdy yarn, and yet still incredibly soft and bouncy. I think I could probably wear these on my feet without an undersock and not have any problems. I wouldn't want to wear it around my neck or as a hat. I think it would probably irritate the skin kind of on my face or my neck. But I think I could probably wear this as mittens quite happily, and I may experiment with it, wearing it, you know, with no undersock. So yeah, really liking those, and they're knitting up really beautifully. Again, kind of pattern and project just kind of fell into step lovely. So I'm going to pop those away, feed them back into their project bag. And the very last project that I'm going to show you for today kind of ties in with the theme of connection in a slightly different way, in that the reason it's pretty much as big as it is, or really that I continued with it as much as I did, is because it's born out of friendship. And that is my Cozy Memories blanket, which I'm crocheting. I'm using the crocheted square, the Happy Scrappy crochet blanket, that's the one from Sandra Cherry Heart. I'm using that pattern, and prior to Christmas it looked like this, literally 6 squares, that was it. So the 5 colours here are the original Cornish tin 5 colours, and then this colour here at the top I made my best friend a pair of socks out of last year, and that was all it was at Christmas. I will show it to you now. It doesn't even fit in one shot, it's so big. I don't know if I can, it's absolutely massive. It's very wide, it's now 10 squares wide, which is as wide as I want it, and I would like it to be 10 squares long, and it's designed to be kind of a lap blanket for when I'm sitting in the living room getting cozy, watching films, doing knitting, rather than make a big bedspread, because we have a king size bed, it would go on forever. So just kind of making a kind of a lounging blanket. And this is in existence because a very wonderful friend for Advent sent me 24 mini skeins, randomly picked mix between Opal and an indie dye, and I will tell you the name of the indie dye right now because I have it written down in my knitting journal. And in my knitting journal, Dreams in Fibre is the indie dye that, so she sent me 12 Dreams in Fibre mini skeins and 5 Opal mini skeins. I have in my knitting journal, this is my key, so a guide to the layout of my blanket, and then if you can see, every square is numbered, and then that corresponds to the page, so I can see kind of what yarn it was, what colourway it was in, where it is in the blanket. And I absolutely adore it. I absolutely adore it. It was an absolute kind of, I want to say, lifesaver a little bit during December when things weren't necessarily as calm as they could be, and it felt really nice to every day be able to pick out this new random yarn and have some fun with my blanket. And even if I couldn't crochet it in that day, then there would come a day where I could crochet in 2 or 3 at a time, and it was still having that time to just sit down and be peaceful and create a little bit. It was absolute bliss, and it was provided by a friend, which meant so much to me. And she had a corresponding 12 of the Dreams in Fibre and 12 of the Opal, so there were originally 24 of each, and they got kind of randomly mixed up and picked out, so there was 12 of each for each of us. And that kind of really makes me happy that we did something together, which was lovely, considering that we live on different continents. We've never met each other in person, but we've kind of met each other through this podcast and through Ravelry. And yeah, it's just really lovely to feel connected with someone in that way, and to also be able to have this wonderful, beautiful blanket, which not only has now the Advent minis in, but it has project minis in. So these are all project minis here, which all carry memories. And I think it's just going to be such a wonderful project to continue adding to throughout the year. So I'm working really hard on getting more fingering weight bits to put in here. I don't want to put in the only mini skeins I'm going to put into this that I haven't knit a project out of are going to be mini skeins that are gifts from friends. All the other little scraps that I'm going to put in here will come from projects, so I need to be finishing those projects before I then put the scraps in. So for example, these 3 here, that's yarn that I made a scarf for a friend's daughter out of. So you know that those 3 have memories attached to them. This yarn here, just right here, is this yarn here, which this is the first ever shawl that I made. And yeah, and then these 5 here, so these 5 right at the top are part of a Christmas gift from the same friend who sent me the beautiful advent calendar, also sent me a pack of 10 minis from a different dyer as a Christmas present, which was just fabulous. And there's enough for me from those minis to put some into my scrappy blanket, and I think there'll also be enough to make some small scrappy socks. So I'm thinking kind of ankle warmers. So yeah, I love this project. It means so much to me, and it means so much to me that it really is a project born out of friendship, and every time I kind of get it out, it just makes me smile and makes me really happy. So I'm going to reluctantly fold it back up again. Whoop. And work hard to finish some more projects so I can add some more bits and bobs to it. And in keeping with kind of the scrap theme, the stash theme, that is the other goal for kind of 2017. Not only to feel a bit more connected and to make a bit more of a connection with kind of my crafting and also the podcast, but to use more of my stash, because I have a rather large stash, not as big a stash as I've seen some on Instagram, but I have a lot of yarn in my stash, and I want to use it, not necessarily use it all or use it all up or never add anything to it, but I really want to show my stash some love, because I have some amazing yarn in there and they really do deserve to be made into amazing things. And I would like to invite you to join me in Stash Fest 2017. So I have appropriated, kidnapped, kind of tucked into my pocket and walked away with the hashtag StashFest2017 on Instagram in the Ravelry group, which if you go to the Ravelry group and into the groups tab put in Mrs. B's podcast, you will find the Ravelry group. I've opened up a thread for StashFest 2017. I'm going to run it as a craft along, and a year-long craft along, because some of us take a little longer to make stuff. And rather than kind of add your FOs kind of randomly as you go along, basically there is a single FO, there is an FO thread, a finished objects thread, and you will have one spot in that thread, and into that one spot you can add as many projects as you want. The reason I'm doing it that way is because some of us may only finish kind of 5, maybe 6 projects a year. Although last year I think I finished 13, so yay! Whereas other people finish, you know, 30, 40, 50 objects a year. And so to make it fair, everyone gets one spot in the FO thread. Claim your spot, add in your projects as you go along. The rules are it has to be knit from stash that came into your stash before the 1st of January 2017. Whips do count so long as they were cast on after the 14th of December 2016. So anything that you are creating with stash from 14th of December 2016 onwards can be added in once it's an FO, and it must contain more than 50 grams of fibre. So be that it's crocheted, knitted, spun. So if you just spin up, you know, 50 to 100 grams of fibre, you can, you know, pop that in your finished objects thread. But again, that fibre must have come into your stash before the 1st of January 2017. I'm going to do a giveaway at the end of the year, so someone will be picked at random to win a prize, and probably as the year goes along there'll be little random prizes given here or there. On that note, I would like to say congratulations to the winner of the Adventure Along podcast. Thank you so much to everyone who joined in. That ran kind of last October, and thank you so much to Sarah of Sarah's Textures Craft for donating such a lovely skein of yarn as the prize. It was really very much appreciated. So well done Julie for winning, yay! And thank you for everyone who kind of joined in on the chatter thread and on the FO thread. Stash Fest 2017 also has a chatter thread. Come along and have a natter about what it is you're kind of wanting to do. Did you find something right at the bottom of your stash that you'd completely forgotten you had? Is there something that you've suddenly seen in your stash that has triggered some kind of inspirational idea? Let me know. Come and join in. Let's show the stash a wee bit of love this year. So yeah, 2017, the year of the stash. And that is pretty much all I have to say for today. So thank you very much for coming along. I hope you enjoy this slightly more chatty format. Let's see how this goes for the rest of the year, and I will see you hopefully very soon. Bye.